Hi, I'm Pastor Kurt, and this is your 5-minute Bible study. Today, we're going to look at the book of Philemon, the entire book. Now, maybe you're thinking, that's a book in the Bible? Yes, it is. And part of the reason you might not know it is because it's really, really short. The book of Philemon is all of 25 verses. That's the entire book. It doesn't even have chapter numbers. It just has verse numbers in it. And it's this little tiny book that probably takes you less time to read the book than it does to watch this video about the book. So what's it about? What is this really, really short book of the Bible about? Well, the book of Philemon is a letter from Paul to Philemon about Philemon's slave, Onesimus. Onesimus has found his way to Paul. And now Paul is sending him back to Philemon. That's the entire letter. It doesn't sound all that interesting, right? But let's think about what's going on here. When we read this book, we see that this isn't just any runaway slave here. This isn't how Paul is treating this guy. Paul speaks very highly of Onesimus, to the point that he even says that he's treating him like his own son. Now remember, Onesimus is a slave. So the letter here isn't a commentary on the slavery system, because that was just part of the culture back in that day. Instead, it's a commentary about how Philemon needs to welcome back Onesimus and treat him like a son too. Treat him as a brother in Christ. Don't treat him like a slave, even if that's his role in society. Rather, treat him as somebody who is important because they are all one in Christ. That is still an important message for us today. Because sometimes today we still think that some people are less important than others. We can see this throughout our culture, that there are certain groups that tend to be pushed aside for whatever reason. Well, by reading this book of Philemon, it reminds us that nobody should be treated that way. We should see everybody as fellow brothers and sisters in Christ. And the fact that this tiny little letter is even in the Bible is incredible. Because it seems like it would be very easy just to omit these 25 verses and go on with the rest of the Bible. But it's there. This tiny little letter from Paul is in the Bible. And not only is it a reminder to us to treat everybody as fellow brothers and sisters in Christ, but it's also a reminder that these little things are important. Paul has written other letters where he's talked about big topics like salvation and justification and all these things about how we're made right with God, all of these kind of heady topics. But here he's talking about a very practical thing in somebody's individual life. Sometimes it seems like we get so caught up in the heady things of church life and our relationship with God that sometimes we forget that, your everyday relationships matter too. Or sometimes we're so focused on the everyday relationship kind of stuff that we ignore the heady things. We need both. And by including this tiny little book here in the Bible, we are reminded that Paul cares about both. He wrote about the big heady things in other letters, but here he's talking to Philemon about his relationship with Onesimus. This is a very practical thing here. And so this is a reminder to us to treat each other as fellow brothers and sisters in Christ. And it's a reminder that even these little things matter. These little things about our relationships with one another. That it's not just about the big topics, it's also about our everyday relationships. So there's your 5-minute Bible study. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.